Hello and welcome to our breakout panel. We have a great panel today to discuss understanding tenant insurance and maximizing your potential revenue. My name is Bryan Mosser. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Cornerstone Insurance Producers, and I'd like to introduce to you our panelists today. First, I'd like to introduce Michael Haugh from Absolute Self Storage.
Thanks, Bryan. It's good to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for being here. Next, we have Michael Berger from U-Store.
Hi, Bryan. Hi, Michael. Great to be part of the panel.
Hi, Michael. And last, we have Dave Benson from Morningstar.
Hello, guys.
Hello. Thank you all for being part of the panel. I think we have some great takeaways and some great topics to talk about. Really, the first part I'd like to go through is just understanding insurance. When you think of self-storage, the last thing you probably think about is insurance. So when each of you got into learn more about insurance, I'd like to just hear about what was going through your mindset. What were your concerns? What were some of the things that you wanted to learn more about, and different factors as far as why you felt it was important at your facility? Michael, if you'd like to start, that'd be great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We got involved in the tenant insurance probably 15, 16 years ago. We didn't know much about it. It was fairly new, and just spent some time trying to learn, what it was. At the time, I think a lot of folks just kind of assumed customers had their own insurance or never really thought about it. And then we had a couple of incidents where there was, an event, a water event, for example, damage. We had some roofs leak, and tenants were kind of looking at us like, hey, my stuff got ruined. What can we do about it? So we started to spend some time thinking through and investigating the business then, and sort of got into it fairly slowly. There was maybe 3 or 4 groups that were offering the product at the time. They were, I would say, also relatively new. It wasn't something that, from a standpoint of interacting with customers, that occurred very often. So, got started there, and then, eventually moved over to the SBOATI product, and was able to get more training on it. And for us, it was all about having something available for our customers that's actually useful. And when something does happen, and inevitably at some point there's going to be events that occur at storage facilities, that there's a product in place for them to be able to turn back on and get at least some relief for any damage that's done to their goods.
So when you were looking at it, were you looking at more for protection for your customer? Were you looking for protection for you at the facility, or are you like a hybrid of just looking at all the options that were available?
Yeah, it was mostly for the customer, because our leases are such that we're fairly well protected as an industry, and the customers. This was just a feature that we thought would be a great add-on. It's relatively inexpensive for the amount of coverage that you can get, and a lot of customers at the time, the ones that had maybe their own renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, weren't really sure if those things were going to be part of their program if a storage unit was counted in. So there was a lot of discussion around that. But ultimately, for us, it was all about the customer and being able to provide a product that they were able to then get some relief if there was an event, and it gave us a level of comfort. Now, obviously, it helps out the storage facility as well, helps protect the storage facility, and that's important. But for us, it was about the customer first.
Yeah. It does provide a great gap between the homeowner's product or a renter's product for an apartment owner, to give them some peace of mind that they have their property that's stored offsite. There's some coverage available.
And Bryan, what we like to emphasize with our customers is that it's first dollar coverage. So most homeowners insurance has significant deductible involved. So if you had a loss at the storage facility, it wouldn't cover you from $1. We love telling our customers and it really is a good sales tool as well, that this is going to cover that deductible for you, which is a really, really good feature of protecting your assets that you put in your storage unit.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That's a great point.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We came, I think that, it's service first and revenue as a, maybe not distant second, but certainly as a secondary to, the feature and the benefit that it offers to our customers. I mean, I think that there's a gap there. And, as a storage facility operator, you will run into issues, whether it's water issues or whatever. And, as Michael mentioned, we do have great protections as an industry in our leases, but that doesn't stop the periodic issues that our customers have. And so, we really found it to be an answer to those really difficult questions or difficult situations that, we oftentimes found ourselves or our managers in when we had a loss or we had a burglary, for example, or while protected in the lease, the customers found themselves unknowingly between their own coverage. So they may have thought they were renters coveraged, or they may have thought their homeowner's policy, filled in the gap, but did not. So it was a great way to provide an answer for that, provide a solution to, kind of those tough situations that came up, and, really provide a service to our customers. They don't always recognize it going in,
Right.
which I think we'll talk to a little bit about here this afternoon. But to the extent that you can educate them, the effort up front, belays any of the difficulty, that once you have been in operation for some period of time, you're just going to run across. It's just the nature of the business.
Right. And that's, you don't know what you don't know, right? So when you're renting a self-storage unit, you kind of have tunnel vision when you're thinking about, I just need to get my stuff from point A to point B, and you don't think that while things can happen at home, you kind of disconnect from a storage unit. So to have that coverage in place and have it there and to be able to offer it to your customers is a great added value. And it's certainly, we see the comment card, right? And customers are grateful that protection was there for them, and that it was offered at the facility level. So that's a good point. All three of you made on how important it is, and really it is about the customer first, and protecting them and giving them the benefits that are offered at your facilities. So that's great.
Our customers are very accepting of of having that, so much so that we have 85% penetration of our customers taking the insurance alongside the rental of their unit. So that's a real testimony to how this is to each of our customers.
Speaking about the penetration and the acceptance, when you first started your programs, I know for really the three of you, it's been a while since you were new at this, but you still have new employees. So do you get pushback with new employees? And even if you can recall back when you started, was there any obstacles to overcome with your staff on being comfortable to offer the product, and just how to do it in a I don't want to say a non-salesy way, but in a way that shows them that they're getting some value out of that coverage?
I'll say, I mean, it's all about the training. So the training has come miles from when we started, and none of us really understood the product, and then having learned it, and then you start to train your staff. So that's real important, especially when you're out selecting a provider of the product. The training part of it is critically important. And for us, it's a confidence level. So when something does happen and a claim gets paid, or if the customer has the insurance product, it's so much easier for the manager to have the conversation with a tenant when that event happens, when they've got the insurance versus when they don't. So a lot of it is, just over time, something's going to happen. There's going to be claims at almost every facility over some period of time. So the staff's going to get exposed to it. If the customer has the product, then they build confidence, and that feeds into, almost a culture, if you will, within a company that, managers are talking to each other, and that's who's typically training each other. So training is absolutely critical, and then experience is second.
And you're right. I mean, when all of the TI programs started, it was a new venture. It really was a new program for really the insurance world as well. So it has evolved. The training is getting better. The understanding and the acceptance for the customer, especially you see customers that rent in multiple cities or move a lot, they're used to it. So they want to purchase the insurance or have it added on to their rent. So it really has evolved in a short amount of time.
And I agree, Michael. What you said about training is so crucial. What we try and train our staff at the site to do when they're leasing a unit is really to assume that the customer needs this insurance. If you take that approach, then the customer realizes, look, I'm storing my precious cargo in a storage unit. It better be taken care of if something happens. And that's how we try and portray it. And the customers understand that, and they want their items protected. Have you ever rented a car? Almost everybody that rents a car takes the insurance so that they can walk away from that car when something happens. Same thing happens with storage insurance, and you got to protect what you put in a storage unit.
Yeah, I'd say, in talking about either the first timers or new employees, there's a bit of skepticism, right? I mean, you're already having to fight the fight to get the sale and to get the unit, and then we were asking for this add-on. And so that is a training. And we, I'm sure like everyone here on this call and a lot of people in the industry, we measure our penetration, and we've got targets for everybody to hit and so forth. But, it's until I think our managers really understand, as Michael and Michael have said, kind of the benefit to the customer, that's when kind of the light bulb goes off. And, for us, we can put out all our key indicators and our measures. And what we find is that our managers really, they develop the relationships with their customers, particularly their longer term customers. And if they can feel like that's a benefit, again, to the customer, then they're going to push that and they'll really be supportive of that program. And I can tell you, part of that plays out in how we're able to explain it. Part of it plays out in how the SBOA backs up the program. And so our biggest ambassadors of our tenant insurance are actually managers who have sat in the chair, who have had claims come through, who have had the SBOA respond appropriately and take care of those, and have had a customer with an issue that's been answered, solved, taken care of, backed up. And so we really pair a new person with a manager that's been in that seat before. And it's, again, they realize how much easier it's going to make their job down the road when that inevitable issue does come up, does arise. So that's the kind of thinking. But there is, again, there are a lot of firms out there. We've had experience with several through the years. I can tell you that, I'm not speaking to anybody currently, but Pat's experience have been spotty, in terms of, well, that's what it says in the paper, but there's no evidence of this, or you don't have a track record. And, one of the great thing about working closely with the SBOA is that you're talking to the people, they know your properties, they're there to help rather than to, just be a quote claims adjuster. And that makes all the difference to the managers, which in turn makes it very easy to sell the program.
Yeah.
Bryan, what we also do is we make sure our managers understand that they are not insurance agents. We get great support from the SBOA with respect to making sure that we are trained enough to understand the product, but the real insurance is being handled by the SBOA, and that support is super necessary. You don't want to put your staff in a vulnerable position with the state regulators with respect to selling insurance.
Right. And that's attributed to the training that we offer, but also to Dave's point, having a new employee almost be mentored by someone that's been in the trenches and understands how the program works and understands the objections that they're going to hear. You can do all the training you want online, but until you're out there on the front line, that's when it really kicks in. You need that experience. So partnering somebody up with that person is definitely key to helping a new employee understand the value and be more comfortable explaining it when the customers come in the door.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when it comes to, we started to talk about service. What is important to you with service? What was important to you, when you were looking at facilities and even now today? We talked about training, but there's a big aspect to what the TI providers can offer, and what would be important to you as a facility owner and operator on a day-to-day level?
I think for me, it's really how they handle the claims, number one. So that's interfacing with the customer. Again, the confidence level our staff has is very high that they can turn it over to SBOA and it gets handled appropriately. I checked around before we did this session, and I'm not aware of any complaints that we've had from either our staff or a customer. So that says a lot actually about the program. I think that SBOA actually pays claims, which is a big part of, early part of the industry. I don't know that claims are being paid as much by certain providers potentially. And then as it's moved forward, I think everyone's doing a better job, but SBOA is doing, I believe, a really good job handling the customers. And then the other piece for us, which really has become, we think, one of the more important selection points of the provider is the compliance and how a tenant insurance provider interfaces with the states, how their product fits in the states. There's a lot of talk about protection plans versus insurance, and you can have those debates. But when it comes down to insurance, there's regulators, and you need to be in compliance within each state. Right. So SBOA handles all the paperwork as it relates to getting limited licenses, and that's huge. That's a really big factor for us. So those two are critically important, in my opinion.
And for us, we really appreciate all the materials, the pamphlets that explain the product, and from frontwards to backwards to the customer, so that it's a very easy item to describe to the customer, because you have this step-by-step instruction booklet that's provided by SBOA. There's no confusion about what's included and what isn't, and that protects our staff from being on the edge of not understanding the product and not describing it exactly correctly to the customer when they come in.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I'd echo that. This is a complicated program, right? I mean, it's training, it's administration, it's all of our tenants in and out on a regular basis. It's the regulators and understanding and how to navigate state by state, all that stuff. As we were looking around, the most important for us was a complicated program that today runs basically in the background invisibly. Right. I mean, so yes, we think about penetration, and yes, we think about sales, and we think about training of the on-site personnel, but everything else on a day-to-day basis is really almost invisible to the store. And that's really critical. I mean, this is a program that runs seamlessly with our regular operation. It runs seamlessly with our, accounting and reporting financial packages. Very, very easy to use and manipulate successfully. And that's really important. I mean, I think the best thing that you can say about the program is, our managers don't have to deal with it until they have to. And when they do, the responses are quick and they're supportive. And, it's a really easy to use program at the store.
Those are all great points. And to kind of spin off on what Michael Berger was saying is the compliance is huge. I mean, that's really the backbone of the program. There is a lot of moving parts behind the scenes, and it's great to hear that, you know, it just kind of fits into your program and it's seamless. But behind, you know, you pull back the curtain and there is a lot back there with all the accounting and especially with compliance. So we pride ourselves on the great relationship we have with all of the regulators, and we have an internal staff that works with compliance every day. Insurance changes a lot, and we're on top of any change that's happening. And for facility owners that are in multiple states, that there's multiple programs available in each state. So we stay on top of what's available for each of the facility owners, and we make sure we're steering them in the right direction and that it's compliant with all of the insurance departments. So I appreciate you saying that, Michael. That's something that we weren't planning on talking about, but that's a great point. So as we're coming almost to a close here on our time, I wanted to talk about the benefits to the customer, but also the benefits to the facility, and how you see, you know, not only we talk about the word penetration, but do you see you're getting more business because you offer it, or because they've had an experience with the SBOA in the past and they choose your facility over possibly a competitor down the street? So I just want to get everyone's take on that and just talking about the benefits of offering SBOA and also just having it long term.
Well, every time we acquire a new store, most of our growth is done through acquisition, not through building new stores. And every time we acquire them, when we encounter a store that is not offering insurance, we absolutely introduce it immediately. And we find that even the existing customer base at those stores embrace it. They want to have it. It's something they weren't offered before. They didn't understand that their belongings that are sitting at the facility may be uninsured, and that became a very, very, very important item for us when we transitioned a new store into our portfolio. As I'd said before, with 85% penetration, our managers are really focused on describing this program and showing the benefits of it to our customers. The pamphlets, all the materials that are provided are clear so that customers really can see why they have to have this. And from a revenue standpoint for us, we're able to buy a facility that wasn't introducing this product and then introduce it, and we can grow the revenue at the store level dramatically by introducing the product. So for us, we see this as a win-win.
Yeah. That's a great point, and we hear that with new facilities calling us, or somebody calling us that doesn't currently offer insurance, and sometimes the mindset is, well, I don't want to offer something that's going to raise the rent, that's going to push out existing customers. And we have enough data now over the last 11 years, 12 years to show that that's not the case. That exactly what Michael's saying, the customers are embracing it, and I think it has to do with it's in the market now. It's been around. People are aware of it. So when a new facility, whether it's a purchase that's not offering it or a brand new green facility, that the acceptance is pretty high.
That's what we find.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. You know, I mean, look, our business isn't getting any less competitive, right? And there's no sign of supply, you know, despite what is going on in the larger world, of supply easing up anytime soon. So we're more competitive with the people down the street, the location around the corner. The other thing is, I think that more and more people have learned how to get storage into the fabric of their daily life, and so their expectations have improved or increased, right? So before, when 10 years ago, 15 years ago, someone would walk through the door, they never used storage before, didn't quite know what to expect, and basically they were takers of whatever we had to offer them. Now that's not the case. So we've got an educated customer, and even if they're first-time users, they want a service and a level of product that goes along with the physical quality that they're seeing when they walk through the door. And we think that that's just a that tenant insurance is an extension of that. So, it gives us more breadth in what we're offering. We like the idea of being a one-stop shop. So not only can we provide the service of storage, but we can also provide the, kind of the backstop and the quality and the insurance that goes with that. We're not saying, oh, we'll give you the space. You have to go get the insurance from someone else, right? And that breadth of we can take care of everything you need, or we can answer all the questions you have around this process, is really important to us. And I think that is still, maybe one of the few differentiators that are out there. That you can really point to and cling to, again, as our business gets more and more competitive.
And Bryan, you asked earlier, what were the challenges in introducing it? Well, some of the trepidation was, gosh, if we have to offer insurance, are people going to think that it's unsafe to have their belongings?
That's another good point. Yeah.
Well, that's not the case. People get it.
Right.
Is it unsafe to rent a car? Is it unsafe to rent a U-Haul from our facility and buy the insurance? No, it's not. It's just protection.
Mm-hmm.
And people understand that now. It's a welcome add, not something that people fear in the rental process of a storage unit.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you feel that doing like a lease compliance program is helping, or what are your thoughts on the compliance factor overall? Do you feel that that's giving you some protection at a facility level if they do pass on saying, I'm okay, I don't want the insurance, we're having to offer to show that at least they have coverage somewhere? Do you feel that's giving you as a facility or as an operator some protection also?
Yeah, we require our tenants to have some form of insurance,
mm-hmm.
and provide us with evidence that they do.
And that's something that has evolved, because in the beginning that was very hard for the insurance departments to grasp and to understand the concept of it. And that really has evolved, and it's helping everyone. It's making sure the consumer's protected, but then also giving protection back to the facility. So you can say, well, we asked you if you had insurance, if you'd like to buy ours, and you opted to stay with your own. So you can't come back to us for that if there is a claim or a loss.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, look, we were the same. We require some level of insurance or coverage for everybody in our lease. And look, it's good for us as operators. It's good for the on-site staff. It's great, I'd argue, for the customers. It's as Michael, back to your first dollar coverage. It's really good coverage for a really low rate. I'd argue that it's probably the best insurance bargain that you're going to get out there in the insurance world. But it's look, it's a positive development. For our industry from customer through operator.
Agreed.
Well, great. Well, I appreciate. So we're up on our time. I appreciate everyone's time, and I think this is a great discussion. Just learning about how what went through each of your processes when you started offering insurance, but then also how 15 years later you're still doing it and it's evolving, which is great. We're in a great industry, and more things, better things to come. So it's only getting better.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Bryan.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Wish we could do it in person.
I know. Soon.